This debate about Brexit and leaving the EU has brought ordinary people into political debate, and now we're going to hear from one of them. Dominic Byrne has not been involved in politics before, and he's from the People's Vote. He's here on Saturdays, and the People's Vote has done an amazing job standing there by the left-hand lion every single Saturday, and we're just going to hear from him.
Thanks, Narinder. So I've never made a political speech in my life, let alone stood on a pavement in Nottingham and spoken to a crowd of people. I'm very worried about Brexit. I'm very frustrated about the decision of the UK to leave, and over Christmas I thought I'll take a New Year's resolution and come and do something about it. So I've been coming down to Nottingham most Saturdays, joining with the People's Vote campaigners by the Left Lion in the Market Square. And I found a group of people, most of whom aren't active in politics, but they are very worried about the impact of Brexit and the importance for democracy of having a final say on something that is absolutely life-changing for our country. So I just want to say a few words about why a People's Vote is so important, and also the impact of Brexit on the NHS. Everything we've heard today shows the importance of why the citizens of the UK need a chance to rethink Brexit. Back in 2016, we had a referendum campaign that has since been exposed as full of lies, false promises, and in which the Leave campaign broke electoral law. Just to remind everybody, there's 4 investigations taking place into the breaches of law around the referendum. There's a Metropolitan Police investigation into Vote Leave and Be Leave's campaign that's still ongoing. There's a National Crime Agency investigation into Aaron Banks and his money and his funding of the campaign, and that's ongoing, and the sources of that funding. There's an Information Commissioner's Office investigation into Leave EU and UKIP and the way they've used data, and that's ongoing. And there's already been an Electoral Commission finding of Leave EU electoral offences, and that investigation found that they had breached electoral law and the allegations were upheld. So that referendum campaign in 2016, to my mind, has dubious legitimacy, and we should not commit national self-harm on the basis of it. Can you remember the promise on the bus? It was all portrayed as so simple. Leave the EU, and instead of giving money to Brussels, we could give it to the NHS. Well, what poppycock that has proved to be. The economy is already 2.5% smaller than it would have been if we'd voted to remain. That means the government has £19 billion a year less to spend on the NHS and all the other things that desperately need extra funding. And the net saving, if we leave the EU, is nowhere near £19 billion. And in fact, it's just over £7 billion. So far from the £350 million a week, more for the NHS that was written on the side of the Vote Leave bus, it's actually £225 million less each week for the NHS because of Brexit. Now those figures aren't my figures, they're figures on the economic and fiscal impact from independent academics at King's College London. And none of that thing that we're poor and have less money on the NHS, none of that includes the huge increase in costs that the NHS has had to face already because of Brexit. The plummeting pound alone has added 15% to the import costs of drugs, medical devices and other much needed supplies. that the NHS needs. And I should also emphasise that none of that is about a no-deal Brexit. None of those figures assume no deal. It gets a lot worse if there was no deal. So make no mistake, it's not just no deal we need to oppose and be aware of the costs of any Brexit deal. You wouldn't buy any consumer goods without having the chance to return them if they're faulty. And thanks to EU, we've got a cooling off period for anything that we buy online or by mail order. But our politicians are scared of giving the people the cooling off period that is so badly needed on Brexit. We'd never dream of taking a life-changing decision about, say, buying a house without the chance to take a final decision. And the reality is many politicians are scared of letting the people take a final decision because they know that Brexit has been found out. Brexit makes so little sense that Brexiteers have never been able to agree between themselves how on earth it should happen. They've had 3 years now to make it happen. They failed to agree on anything. They can't agree because it makes no sense. So we've got a message for them. We're fed up with Brexit. It's damaging people's lives and it's damaging the NHS. It's time to call time on Brexit and demand a people's vote. Thank you. Come and join our campaign. Write to your MP. Continue to put pressure on politicians. Check out the NottinghamPeoplesVote.com website and join us every Saturday morning at the left line around 11 o'clock. And also join us on what we hope will be the biggest march in recent history on the 19th of October from Hyde Park to Parliament Square.
Dominic, they're fantastic. Those stirring words. Thank you so much, Dominic. The people's vote really is important. I care for the NHS. Do you? I care for the NHS. Do you?